Supreme Commander Rakesh Patel stared through the crystalline viewport of the High Command chamber, his four-fingered hand tapping rhythmically against the polished obsidian table. The blue marble of Earth hung suspended in the void below, deceivingly peaceful from this distance. His silver skin rippled with frustration as he turned to address the assembled council. "Tell me again," he said, voice sharp as a blade, "how a species that hasn't even colonized their own moon has managed to push back the might of the Galactic Concordat for 6 straight months." The assembled alien commanders shifted uncomfortably in their hover seats. None dared meet his gaze directly, except for one. Nova Blackwood rose from her seat, her bioluminescent markings pulsing with barely contained energy. As the youngest military strategist ever appointed to high command, she had earned her reputation through ruthless efficiency and unconventional thinking. Her mission to speak freely, Supreme Commander. Patel waved a hand dismissively. "At this point, Commander Blackwood, I would welcome a theory that these humans are actually advanced space potatoes in disguise. At least that would explain our embarrassing failure." A ripple of nervous laughter echoed through the chamber. Nova's markings flashed crimson for a moment before settling back to their usual azure glow. "Sir, I believe we have fundamentally misunderstood what makes humans dangerous," she said, activating the holographic display. "Our initial assessment labeled them as primitive based on their technology level. That was our first mistake." The display showed footage from various battles, human soldiers continuing to fight despite severe injuries, civilian resistance cells launching guerrilla attacks, and most disturbing of all, humans sacrificing themselves to protect others. "What you're seeing isn't just determination," Nova continued. "It's something our species has never encountered before. Humans don't just survive, they thrive on adversity. Every defeat makes them stronger. Every loss fuels their resolve." Patel's skin darkened to a deep graphite shade, a sign of deep concern among his kind. "And you believe this is why our standard conquest protocols have failed?" "Failed spectacularly," Nova corrected, earning a few gasps from the more traditional commanders. "Our entire military doctrine is based on breaking the enemy's will to fight. But humans? They've turned our own psychological warfare against us. They're not just resisting, they're learning, adapting, and somehow becoming more dangerous with each passing day." The Supreme Commander stood, his towering frame casting a shadow across the tactical display. "Then what do you propose, Commander Blackwood? We cannot simply withdraw. The Concordat has never admitted defeat in its 10,000 years of expansion." Nova's markings pulsed with determination as she pulled up another hologram, this one showing a classified human research facility. "There's something else, sir. Something that makes even less sense than their resilience. We've detected temporal anomalies around their medical facilities. Humans who should be dead _ aren't staying dead." The chamber erupted in murmurs and exclamations. Patel raised a hand for silence, his attention fully focused on Nova now. "Explain." "I have a plan," she said, her markings now glowing with an intense white light. "But you're not going to like it. And if I'm wrong about this, it could cost us more than just this invasion." Nova Blackwood crouched behind the quantum camouflage barrier, watching the human research facility through enhanced thermal imaging. Her strike team, consisting of 3 of the Concordat's most elite operatives, maintained absolute silence in their positions. Their target, Dr. Amanda Stone, had just arrived for her night shift. "Target confirmed," whispered Sergeant Jack Flash through their neural link. His nickname came from his unprecedented speed with phase shift technology, making him nearly invisible to human detection systems. "Security pattern matches intel. Guards change in 3 minutes." Nova's markings dimmed to near darkness as she processed the information. "Remember, team, Dr. Stone is the priority target. Our intelligence suggests she's close to a breakthrough in human resurrection technology. We take her out, we might finally understand how these humans keep coming back." The facility's security systems were primitive by Concordat standards: motion sensors, thermal cameras, and armed guards. But Nova had learned the hard way never to underestimate human ingenuity. Her last mission had ended with 3 dead operatives because someone forgot humans could use something as simple as mirrors to detect their stealth tech. Activating neural scramblers, announced Lieutenant Sarah Nightshade, their tech specialist. Her 6-fingered hands danced across the holographic interface of her quantum computer. Guards will experience a temporary memory loop. Window opens in 5-4__. Nova readied her phase shift generator. The device, barely larger than a human credit card, could bend space-time enough to let them walk through solid walls. The technology had won the Concordat countless victories across the galaxy. Until they met humans, who somehow managed to detect the subtle radiation signature using modified microwave ovens of all things. 2-1__. The team moved with practiced precision. Their biomechanical armor, flowing like liquid metal, adapted instantly to each movement. Nova led the way, her markings providing just enough light to guide them through the phase-shifted walls. The interior of the facility was eerily quiet. Medical equipment hummed softly, and somewhere distant, a human was whistling a tune. Nova's universal translator identified it as something called "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This." Control room ahead, Jack Flash reported. 2 techs, both sleeping. Dr. Stone's lab is 1 level down. Nova nodded, though she knew her team could only sense it through their neural link. Nightshade looped their monitors. "Hunter, watch R6. The 4th member of their team, a massive warrior named Hunter, took up his position. His species could naturally sense approaching danger, making him the perfect rear guard. His skin changed color to match the sterile white walls perfectly. They found Dr. Stone in her lab, hunched over what appeared to be a standard human medical terminal. But Nova's enhanced senses detected something else: subtle quantum fluctuations that shouldn't exist in human technology. "Dr. Amanda Stone," Nova announced, disengaging her camouflage. The human woman turned, showing surprising calm at finding 4 alien warriors in her lab. "The Concordat thanks you for your contributions to science, but your research ends tonight." Dr. Stone smiled, an expression that sent an unexpected chill through Nova's normally regulated body temperature. "Commander Blackwood, I presume? Your reputation precedes you, but I'm afraid you're too late." The quantum fluctuations suddenly spiked. Nova's combat instincts screamed danger. "Team, fall back," she shouted, but Dr. Stone was faster. She pressed a button on what looked like a simple wristwatch, and reality itself seemed to hiccup. Nova found herself frozen in place, watching as Dr. Stone calmly walked between her immobilized team members. "Fascinating, isn't it?" the doctor said, examining them like specimens. "You thought we were researching resurrection, but that was never it. We weren't bringing people back from death. We were studying what happens in those moments between life and death. And what we found there well, that's why you're losing this war." The temporal effect began to fade. Nova could feel her muscles responding again, but Dr. Stone was already at the lab's entrance. "You should have killed me when you had the chance," she said, "but don't worry, you'll get another opportunity in about 24 minutes. An alarm blared throughout the facility. Nova's team finally broke free of the temporal lock, but Dr. Stone was gone, and according to their sensors, so was all of her research data. Supreme Commander, Nova transmitted through their secure channel. "Target escaped. But sir, I think we just confirmed why humans are so hard to kill. They're not coming back from death, they're learning from it." The implications sent a wave of dread through her entire team. Because if humans had mastered that threshold between life and death, what else were they capable of? Nova Blackwood sprinted through the facility's corridors, her team close behind. The alarm's wailing had shifted to a deeper, more urgent tone. Emergency lights bathed everything in pulsing red shadows. Contact hunters shouted through their neural link. Multiple human security teams converging on our position. "Push through," Nova commanded. Her markings blazed bright with combat intensity. "Jack, clear us a path." Sergeant Flash phased through a wall and emerged behind the human security team. His neural disruptors dropped 3 guards before they could react. But the 4th guard, a young woman with fierce determination in her eyes, managed to trigger something on her wrist device before collapsing. The corridor ahead suddenly wavered, like heat rising from hot pavement. Nova's advanced sensors screamed warnings about temporal distortion. "They're using Stone's technology," Nightshade transmitted. "The entire facility is becoming temporally unstable." Nova pushed forward anyway. Dr. Stone was somewhere ahead and answers were within reach. They found her in what appeared to be the facility's main research chamber, surrounded by equipment that defied Nova's understanding. The human scientist stood calmly at a central console, making final adjustments. "Right on schedule," Stone said without looking up. "You know, Commander, your invasion actually helped us perfect this technology. Nothing motivates human innovation quite like existential threats." Nova raised her quantum disruptor. "Step away from the console, Doctor. Whatever you're planning ends now." On the contrary, Stone finally turned to face them, her expression serene. "It's already done. The data has been transmitted to every major human research facility worldwide. And now now I show you exactly why humanity will never submit to the Concordat." Everything happened in a fraction of a second. Dr. Stone pressed a button. Hunter sensed the danger and leaped forward. Nova's disruptor fired. The temporal field collapsed. Dr. Amanda Stone crumpled to the floor, a precise hole through her heart. But she was smiling. "Confirm termination," Nova ordered, approaching cautiously. Nightshade ran a medical scan. No vital signs. "Subject is deceased _wait." She adjusted her scanner. "Commander, I'm detecting unusual neural activity. It's like her brain is still _processing." "In time of death," Mark Nova commanded. "Maintain surveillance. If humans truly are cheating death somehow, we're about to witness it." The minutes ticked by. Nova's team secured the facility, downloaded what data they could, and established a perimeter. But Nova couldn't take her eyes off Stone's body. The scientist's final words haunted her. 21 minutes after death, the first readings appeared. Commander Nightshade's voice was tight with disbelief. "Neural activity is spiking. These patterns they're not random, they're structured, like her brain is downloading something." 23 minutes. Stone's body remained still, but Nova's biosensors detected subtle changes in cellular activity. "Impossible," Jack Flash whispered. "Cellular death should be irreversible at this point." 24 minutes. Dr. Amanda Stone gasped and opened her eyes. Nova's team reacted instantly, weapons trained on the newly revived human. But Stone made no aggressive moves. She simply sat up, looking at them with eyes that seemed to hold centuries of knowledge. "The gap between life and death," Stone said, her voice rough but growing stronger, "isn't empty. It's full of information. Every human who dies glimpses it. Most forget. But we learn to remember. To bring back more than just our lives." Nova's markings pulsed with a mix of fear and fascination. "You're saying humans learn from death itself." "Every death teaches us something new. Every revival brings back more knowledge." Stone stood slowly, seemingly unconcerned about the weapons aimed at her. "That's why your psychological warfare failed. Why your superior technology couldn't break us. You can't intimidate a species that treats death as a learning experience." Nova's tactical mind raced with implications. The unexplained technological leaps in human resistance, their ability to counter Concordat advantages so quickly, their seemingly impossible resilience. "Your entire species has this ability. To varying degrees, some better than others. But yes, it's fundamental to human consciousness. We just never realized it until your invasion forced us to look deeper." Stone brushed dust off her lab coat with casual dignity. "You should know, Commander, that I gained something valuable in my 24 minutes. Would you like to know what the beings between life and death told me about the Concordat?" Nova felt a chill run through her entire body. Because for the first time in her decorated military career, she was facing an enemy that didn't just refuse to stay dead, they came back stronger. Smarter. More dangerous. "Team," she transmitted on their secure channel, "prepare for immediate extraction. Supreme Command needs to know what we've discovered." As they backed away from the calmly smiling scientist, Nova realized humanity hadn't just found a way to survive the Concordat's invasion. They'd turned death itself into a weapon. And the most terrifying part? They were still learning how to use it. The High Command chamber erupted into chaos as Nova finished her report. Supreme Commander Patel sat motionless, his silver skin now almost white with shock. The holographic displays showed detailed analysis of Dr. Stone's revival, along with compiled data from similar incidents across Earth. Preposterous General Marcus Thunder slammed his metallic fist on the obsidian table. His mechanical implants whirred with agitation. You expect us to believe humans have weaponized death itself, that they're gaining intelligence from some space between life and death. Nova stood her ground, her markings pulsing steadily. The evidence is irrefutable, General. My team recorded everything. Lieutenant Nightshade's analysis shows consistent patterns across all documented revival cases. She gestured to the central display, where complex neural patterns danced across the screen. Each revival brings back new information, technical knowledge, strategic insights, sometimes even glimpses of our own military capabilities that they couldn't possibly have known otherwise. And you let Dr. Stone live. Admiral Blair Steele's voice carried the chill of deep space. Her crystalline form refracted light in patterns that indicated extreme disapproval. With respect, Admiral Nova replied, killing her again would only make her stronger. My tactical analysis suggested immediate withdrawal was our best option. Commander Patel finally stirred. Show them the temporal readings, Commander Blackwood. Nova nodded, bringing up new data streams. These measurements were taken during Dr. Stone's 24-minute death period. Notice the quantum fluctuations. They match patterns we've detected in human breakthrough moments throughout the war. When they suddenly developed countermeasures to our phase shift technology. When they adapted their primitive radar to detect our stealth ships. Even their inexplicable resistance to our neural weapons. They're not just coming back, Nightshade added from her station. They're bringing back knowledge from underscore somewhere else. The temporal readings suggest access to multiple dimensional planes during the death state. General Thunder scoffed. So we're fighting an enemy that gets smarter every time we kill them? This is absurd. No more absurd than their recovery rate, Nova countered. She pulled up battlefield statistics. Look at these numbers. Humans with fatal injuries returning to combat within days. Critical wounds healing at impossible speeds. We thought it was advanced medical technology, but now we know each near-death experience makes them more resilient. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Admiral Steele's crystalline form darkened with concern. The longer we fight underscore, the stronger they become, Patel finished. Every casualty we inflict teaches them more about us, about themselves, about the very nature of existence. Nova brought up her final piece of evidence, brain scans from revived humans showing completely new neural pathways. They're evolving, sir. Not over generations, but in real time. Each death is like a software update for their entire species. And Dr. Stone, General Thunder demanded, what did she learn during her 24 minutes of death? She smiled when she came back, Nova said quietly. She smiled and asked if we wanted to know what the beings between life and death told her about the Concordat, about our future. The chamber erupted again, but Patel raised his hand for silence. Your recommendation, Commander Blackwood. Immediate cessation of all military operations against Earth, she said without hesitation. Every soldier we lose, every human we kill, only accelerates their advancement. They're not just fighting us anymore. They're using our own aggression as a catalyst for their evolution. Admiral Steele's form pulsed with angry light. The Concordat has never retreated. Never in 10,000 years. Then perhaps, Nova replied, her markings glowing with conviction, it's time we learned something from the humans. Because right now we're not just losing a war, we're helping our enemy transcend their own mortality. There's something else, Nightshade interrupted, her hands flying over her console. New data from the Earth observation posts. The human revival phenomenon underscored spreading. More humans are surviving fatal incidents. Their recovery times are decreasing. And look at these brain scans underscore. The display showed a stunning progression, human neural patterns growing increasingly complex, showing signs of capabilities that even Concordat science couldn't explain. They're sharing it somehow, Nova realized. The knowledge they gain from death underscore, it's not staying isolated to the individuals who die in return. It's spreading through their entire population. Supreme Commander Patel rose slowly from his seat. You're telling me that not only have humans found a way to learn from death, but they're rapidly becoming a species that can collectively tap into underscore whatever exists beyond mortality. Yes, Sir, Nova confirmed. And based on current progression rates, within 6 months they'll be operating at a level of consciousness we can't even comprehend. The silence that followed was deafening. Every member of High Command stared at the data displays, watching as humanity's potential unfurled before them in terrifying detail. 10,000 years of Concordat expansion, Patel said softly. 10,000 years of uncontested military supremacy. And we finally met a species that doesn't just refuse to die, they've turned death itself into their greatest teacher. Nova's markings pulsed with grim satisfaction. Because she knew, looking at the faces around the table, that they finally understood what she had realized in that lab with Dr. Stone. The Concordat hadn't just met its match. They had inadvertently helped create something entirely new, a species that had broken the final barrier between life and death. The tension in the High Command chamber could have bent steel. Supreme Commander Patel stood at the viewport, watching Earth rotate below while the greatest military minds of the Concordat waited for his decision. Commander Blackwood, he said, his voice uncharacteristically quiet. You've seen these humans up close, fought them, watched one of them return from death. Tell me, what happens if we continue this war? Nova stepped forward, her markings glowing with absolute certainty. We lose, sir. Not just the war. Everything. She activated a new holographic projection, showing a theoretical model of human advancement over the next year. Every human we kill becomes a gateway for new knowledge. Every battle we win plants seeds of powers we can't understand. They're not just adapting to our weapons anymore. They're reaching into the space between life and death and pulling out something more. General Thunder growled. Then we hit them harder. Full planetary bombardment. No more strategic strikes. That would be suicide, Nova countered. She brought up another display, this one showing Dr. Stone's final neural readings. Look at these patterns. 24 minutes of death gave her insights into Concordat technology that took us centuries to develop. A full-scale attack? We might as well hand them the keys to our entire civilization. Admiral Steele's crystalline form shimmered with agitation. The other council races must be informed. If humans have truly found a way to harvest knowledge from death itself, they'll want to study them, control them. And they'll fail. Nova's markings pulsed red. Don't you see? We're not gods toying with a primitive species anymore. We're watching the birth of something unprecedented in the galaxy. A new alert flashed across the tactical displays. Nightshade's hands flew across her console. Sir, massive energy signatures detected across Earth's surface. They're replicating our quantum communication network. Impossible, Thunder breathed. We never deployed that technology on Earth. No, Nova said. But Dr. Stone died looking right at our quantum communicators. 24 minutes later, Patel turned from the viewport, his silver skin now rippling with complex patterns. How long until full withdrawal can be completed? The chamber erupted in protests, but Nova's voice cut through them all. Sir, there's something else you need to see. She brought up her final piece of evidence, a recorded message from Dr. Stone, transmitted just minutes ago through the human's newly created quantum network. Dr. Stone's hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, smiling that same knowing smile. Greetings, High Command of the Concordat. By now, Commander Blackwood has surely explained what she witnessed. But there's more. In those 24 minutes between my death and return, I learned not just about your technology, but about you. About your history. About the very reason your civilization fears death so much that you've spent millennia trying to conquer it by conquering others. The human's eyes seemed to look directly at each person in the room. We understand now, and we forgive you. This message comes with two things: the complete schematics for your quantum drive technology, which we've already begun improving upon, and an offer. Nova's markings pulsed with surprise as Dr. Stone continued. Leave Earth now, and we promise not to expand into Concordat space for 100 years. This will give your civilization time to adapt to the knowledge that death is not an end, but a doorway. Stay. And the next human to die in this war will bring back something far more significant than technical schematics. The message ended. Supreme Commander Patel looked around the chamber, meeting each council member's gaze. The humans aren't just offering us mercy, he said slowly. They're offering us time. Time to learn what they've learned, but without dying for it, he straightened to his full height. Prepare the withdrawal order. All forces are to disengage immediately. Sir Nightshade called out. New transmission underscore it's being broadcast to every ship in the fleet. Dr. Stone's voice filled the chamber one final time. Oh, and Commander Blackwood? Thank you for killing me. Those 24 minutes showed me exactly what humanity could become. We'll see you again in a century, hopefully not as enemies, but as teachers. Nova watched through the viewport as the massive invasion fleet began its retreat, her markings pulsing with a mix of relief and awe. Because she knew they weren't running from defeat, they were running from evolution itself. Personal log of Commander Nova Blackwood. High Command Archive. 1 year after Earth withdrawal. The changes across Concordat space have been profound. My final report to High Command sparked what historians are already calling the Great Awakening. The revelation that death could be a source of knowledge rather than an end has transformed our society. Research stations now study the human phenomenon from a safe distance. Their quantum technology has already surpassed our own, just as Dr. Stone predicted. Last week we detected their first successful test of dimensional bridging, something our scientists had deemed impossible. Supreme Commander Patel retired yesterday. His final address to the Council was brief. We went to Earth seeking to teach humanity about death. Instead, they taught us about life. The military restructuring continues. General Thunder resigned in protest, but most of us understand now. The Concordat spent 10,000 years running from death, building an empire on the fear of extinction. Humanity showed us a different path in just 24 minutes. Admiral Steele leads our new diplomatic initiative. She says we need to be ready for when the 100-year agreement ends. Not with weapons, but with questions. The humans are still evolving, still dying and returning with new insights. The gap between their consciousness and ours widens every day. Nightshade's monitoring stations track their progress. They're reaching into realms of science we never imagined, pulling out discoveries that shouldn't be possible. But they haven't violated the agreement. Not once. They're expanding inward instead of outward, exploring the boundaries between life and death with an eagerness that both terrifies and inspires us. As for me, I've been assigned to head our new existential research division. My experience with Dr. Stone apparently makes me uniquely qualified to help our people understand what we're becoming. Because that's the real legacy of our failed invasion. It showed us that evolution doesn't have to take millennia. Sometimes it just takes 24 minutes. And somewhere on Earth, Dr. Amanda Stone is probably smiling, knowing that her death taught not just humanity, but an entire alien civilization how to live. End log. Addendum personal note. I keep thinking about her last words to me, about being teachers. Perhaps that was their purpose all along. Not to fight us, but to show us that what we thought was the ultimate enemy, death itself, was actually the greatest source of knowledge in the universe. In a way, humanity didn't just survive our invasion. They transformed it into the greatest learning experience in Concordat history. And somehow, I suspect that's exactly what they learned to do in those gaps between life and death, to turn endings into beginnings. Nova Blackwood out. According to given script above, create 10 photorealistic images, not cartoonist. From the above story, all characters should look like the same in all images must be 4,000. HD images 16:9 and generate images of all the scenes and characters step by step.